5 morning habits that quietly erode your muscle health. And what to do instead. Muscle health is more than just aesthetics or gym performance. It's a cornerstone of metabolic function, insulin sensitivity, glucose regulation, and long-term independence. Yet, many of us unknowingly sabotage our muscles before we've even had our morning coffee. A study we ran at Stanford followed over 600 people for a year to explore whether genes or insulin levels could predict success on low-fat or low-carb diets. The answer? Neither did. What mattered most was food quality and adherence to the plan. This insight applies directly to muscle health. It's not about silver bullets or single villains like insufficient protein or poor workout schedules. Muscle health is shaped by daily rhythms and the seemingly small choices we make each morning. This article dives into 5 morning habits that quietly erode muscle health and offers practical, science-backed strategies to counteract them. These habits aren't always about nutrition. Some involve timing, behavior, or even mindset. We'll explore why skipping breakfast after a poor night's sleep can reduce muscle protein synthesis by up to 18%, how your gut microbiome influences amino acid absorption, and why high-sugar breakfasts or prolonged sedentary time can undermine your efforts to maintain lean mass. This isn't about fear-mongering or pushing supplements. It's about awareness, self-experimentation, and aligning your choices with what the research shows. So, let's ask, what's the first thing you put in your body each morning? And is it helping or hindering the muscle health you're working so hard to build? Habit 1. Skipping protein at breakfast. The problem. A missed opportunity for muscle synthesis. Breakfast is often the most neglected meal when it comes to protein. In the US, many follow what researchers call a skewed protein pattern. Minimal protein at breakfast, a moderate amount at lunch, and a heavy dose at dinner. The average American breakfast contains just 10 to 12 grams of protein, far below the 25 to 30 grams research suggests is optimal for muscle protein synthesis, MPS, particularly in older adults. A 2014 study in the Journal of Nutrition found that adults who evenly distributed their protein intake across 3 meals synthesized 25% more muscle protein than those who consumed the same total amount but skewed it toward dinner. Over time, this difference can mean the difference between maintaining muscle mass and losing it to sarcopenia, a condition linked to frailty, falls, and early mortality in older adults. Why does this matter so much in the morning? Your muscles require a threshold of amino acids, particularly leucine, to trigger MPS, the process by which your body repairs and builds muscle tissue. Think of leucine as the key that flips the MPS switch. Without enough high-quality protein at breakfast, around 25 to 30 grams for most adults, slightly less for younger individuals, that switch stays off. Compounding this, morning cortisol levels are naturally higher, promoting muscle breakdown, catabolism. Pairing high cortisol with zero protein nudges your body toward a net loss of muscle tissue, especially if you're over 40, when anabolic resistance makes it harder to build muscle. Behaviorally, we've built morning routines around carbohydrates, cereal, toast, juice, or sugary granola bars, often sidelining amino acids. While there's nothing inherently wrong with oats or fruit, a breakfast lacking protein misses a critical opportunity to support lean tissue preservation. The science. Why protein timing matters. Muscle protein synthesis is a dynamic process that requires regular stimulation throughout the day. A 2018 meta-analysis in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition confirmed that consuming 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein per meal, spaced evenly across the day, maximizes MPS and minimizes muscle breakdown. This is especially critical for older adults who experience anabolic resistance, a reduced ability to utilize amino acids for muscle repair due to age-related changes in signaling pathways like mTOR, mechanistic target of rapamycin. Cortisol, a glucocorticoid hormone, peaks in the morning as part of the cortisol awakening response, CAR. While this spike is normal and helps mobilize energy, excessive or prolonged cortisol elevation, common with stress or poor sleep, promotes proteolysis, the breakdown of muscle proteins into amino acids for energy. A 2017 study in Frontiers in Physiology showed that inadequate protein intake in the morning, combined with elevated cortisol, significantly increases net muscle loss. This is particularly concerning for those who skip breakfast altogether, as fasting prolongs the catabolic state overnight. The gut microbiome also plays a role. Emerging research, including a 2020 study in Nature Reviews Gastroenterology and Hepatology, suggests that gut bacteria influence amino acid bioavailability. Diets low in fiber and high in processed carbs, common in many breakfasts, disrupt microbial balance, potentially reducing the absorption of key amino acids like leucine, further compromising MPS. Practical tools. Reimagining breakfast. Here are actionable strategies to make breakfast a muscle-preserving meal. Shift to savory. Swap sugary cereals or pastries for savory, protein-rich options. A veggie-packed tofu scramble, lentil pancakes with chutney, or even protein-dense leftovers from dinner, like grilled tempeh with roasted vegetables, can provide 20 to 30 grams of protein while delivering fiber and micronutrients. For example, 1 cup of cooked lentils, 18g protein, with spinach and a tablespoon of tahini, 3g protein, hits the mark. Incorporate plant-based proteins. Plant-based options like beans, soy foods, tofu, tempeh, edamame, nuts, and seeds are excellent protein sources. Combining them enhances amino acid profiles. For instance, pairing quinoa, complete protein, 8g per cup, with edamame, 11g per half cup, and a sprinkle of hemp seeds, 10g per 3 tablespoons. These foods also contain prebiotic fibers that feed beneficial gut bacteria, supporting amino acid absorption and reducing inflammation. Mind portion sizes. Plant proteins require slightly larger portions to match the leucine content of animal proteins. A handful of almonds, 7g protein, won't suffice, but a bowl with 1 cup quinoa, half a cup edamame, and 2 tablespoons tahini, total 22g protein, gets you there. Use a kitchen scale or measuring cups initially to gauge portions. Address: I'm not hungry. If you skip breakfast due to lack of appetite, consider whether this is biological or habitual. Start gradually with small protein-rich meals, perhaps a smoothie with 1 cup spinach, half a cup silken tofu, 10g protein, 1 tablespoon chia seeds, 6g protein, and frozen berries. Over weeks, your body can adapt to expect morning fuel. Real-world example: in one of our Stanford studies, a woman in her early 60s, who had long skipped breakfast and struggled with fatigue and muscle loss, began including a small tofu and veggie stir-fry within an hour of waking. After 3 months, she reported more stable energy, better workout recovery, and a DEXA scan showed regained lean mass. This wasn't about magic foods but consistency and timing, providing her muscles with the amino acids they needed when they were most receptive. Takeaway: breakfast is your body's first opportunity to build, not just refuel. By prioritizing 20 to 30 grams of high-quality protein, you flip the MPS switch, counter morning cortisol, and set a metabolic tone that supports muscle preservation. Ask yourself, could I reimagine breakfast as a savory, protein-rich meal? Even small shifts, like adding a scoop of plant protein to your smoothie, can compound over time. Habit 2. Fasted morning workouts. The problem. A double-edged sword for muscle health. Fasted exercise, working out after an 8 to 12-hour fast, often first thing in the morning, has gained popularity for its purported benefits. Increased fat oxidation, improved metabolic flexibility, and better focus for some. But for those prioritizing muscle preservation, strength gains, or healthy aging, fasted workouts can be a double-edged sword. While they may burn more fat, they also increase muscle protein breakdown and may impair post-exercise muscle protein synthesis unless carefully managed. The science: muscle breakdown versus buildup. A 2020 randomized crossover trial in nutrients examined resistance-trained men performing weight training either fasted or after a protein-rich meal. The fasted group showed higher markers of muscle breakdown, elevated myostatin and ubiquitin proteasome activity, and lower post-exercise MPS compared to the fed group. This is particularly relevant for those over 40, when anabolic resistance reduces the body's efficiency at using amino acids for muscle repair. A 2019 review in Sports Medicine noted that fasted resistance training can exacerbate muscle catabolism, especially in older adults, due to the combined effects of elevated morning cortisol and low amino acid availability. Morning cortisol peaks around 7 to 8 a.m., creating a hormonal environment primed for breakdown rather than buildup. Without pre-exercise protein, your body may rely on muscle tissue for amino acids to fuel the workout, especially during resistance training. This catabolic state can persist post-exercise if recovery nutrition is delayed, prolonging muscle damage and hindering strength gains. However, fasted workouts aren't universally harmful. For endurance athletes or those practicing time-restricted eating, they can support fat loss or simplify routines. The key is balancing their benefits with muscle health priorities. Practical tools. Supporting muscle during fasted workouts. Here are 3 science-aligned strategies to minimize muscle breakdown without abandoning fasted workouts. Preload with protein. Consuming 10 to 15 grams of easily digestible protein, e.g., a soy protein shake or pea protein in water, 30 to 60 minutes before exercise can reduce muscle breakdown without significantly spiking insulin. A 2021 study in the Journal of the International Society of Sports Nutrition found that 10 grams of branched-chain amino acids, BCAAs, pre-workout reduced muscle damage markers by 20% in fasted athletes. Rethink workout timing. If fasted resistance training leaves you depleted or stalls strength gains, consider shifting workouts to later in the day after 1 or 2 meals. In our Stanford DipFits trial, a 50-year-old participant moved his lifting from 6 a.m. to 4 p.m. and saw improved recovery and strength progress, simply because he wasn't training on an empty tank. Prioritize post-exercise nutrition. If fasted workouts are your only option, consume a balanced meal with 20 to 30 grams of protein and complex carbohydrates within 30 to 60 minutes post-exercise. A 2017 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition showed this window is critical for maximizing amino acid uptake and MPS, reducing the catabolic effects of fasting. Real-world example in the DipFits trial, a participant who switched from fasted morning workouts to afternoon sessions after eating 2 balanced meals reported better energy and strength gains within 6 weeks. For those tied to morning workouts, a small pre-workout protein shake, e.g. 15 GP protein, was enough to preserve muscle without disrupting their routine. Takeaway: fasted workouts can work for some goals, but they risk muscle breakdown, especially with age. Small changes like a pre-workout protein shake or shifting workout timing can protect lean mass while preserving the benefits of fasting. Ask, what's the smallest tweak I can make to support my muscles without overhauling my routine? Habit 3. Prolonged sedentary time in the morning. The problem. Sitting still sabotages muscle metabolism. One of the most overlooked threats to muscle health is prolonged sedentary time in the morning. Many of us wake up, grab our phones, check emails, or sip coffee while answering messages, easily spending 60 to 90 minutes without moving more than a few steps. For remote workers or desk-based professionals, significant movement might not happen until late morning. This inactivity isn't just a missed opportunity. It actively undermines muscle metabolism and insulin sensitivity. The science. Movement as a metabolic signal. A 2021 review in the Journal of Applied Physiology found that breaking up sedentary time with light activity, e.g., standing or walking for 2 to 3 minutes every 30 minutes, improves glucose uptake in muscle tissue and enhances insulin sensitivity. Insulin isn't just about blood sugar. It's an anabolic hormone that facilitates nutrient delivery to muscles. Prolonged sitting reduces muscle responsiveness to insulin, contributing to insulin resistance, a precursor to sarcopenia. Even if you exercise later in the day, morning inactivity can reduce metabolic flexibility, the ability of muscles to switch between burning glucose and fat. A 2018 study in Diabetologia showed that uninterrupted sitting for just 3 hours decreased insulin-mediated glucose uptake by 20% in healthy adults. This effect is amplified in older adults, whose muscles are already less responsive to anabolic signals. Non-exercise activity. Thermogenesis. NEAT. Light movements like walking, stretching, or chores plays a critical role in muscle preservation. A 2020 study from the University of Missouri found that 2-minute bouts of light walking every 20 minutes improved muscle insulin signaling and glucose regulation compared to uninterrupted sitting. These small movements send a signal to your muscles. Stay active, stay strong. Practical tools. Infusing movement into your morning. Here are simple ways to incorporate light movement into your morning routine. Embrace NEAT. Engage in 5 to 10 minutes of low-intensity movement, brisk walking, stretching while coffee brews, air squats while brushing teeth, or chores with a podcast. These activities boost blood flow, enhance insulin sensitivity, and prime muscles for nutrient uptake. Use behavioral anchors. Link movement to existing habits. For example, pace while planning your day, do calf raises while brewing tea, or walk the dog before checking emails. In our Stanford behavioral studies, participants who started mornings with 5 minutes of light movement were 30% more likely to hit daily step goals. Leverage chronobiology. Morning movement aligns your circadian rhythm, improving sleep, hormone regulation, and muscle recovery. A 2019 study in Chronobiology International found that light morning activity reduced evening cortisol and improved sleep quality, indirectly supporting MPS. Real-world example: in one of our studies, a 45-year-old participant added 5-minute walks every 30 minutes during morning work hours. Over 8 weeks, wearable tech showed improved glucose control and reduced muscle soreness, despite no changes to her exercise routine. This small habit set a tone for an active day, enhancing both metabolic and mental health. Takeaway: muscles respond to use, not just intense exercise. Prolonged morning sitting blunts insulin sensitivity and muscle metabolism, but even 5 minutes of light movement can counteract this. Ask, what's the smallest way I can move more in the morning, stretching, walking, or chores, to support my muscles? Habit 4. High sugar, low-protein breakfast. The problem. A metabolic roller coaster. The modern breakfast, fruit-flavored yogurt, cereal with milk, granola bars, muffins, or juice, is often high in fast-digesting carbs, low in fiber, and nearly devoid of protein. While carbs are essential, a breakfast dominated by sugar without protein or fat triggers a hormonal cascade that undermines muscle health, energy stability, and even food choices later in the day. The science. Sugar spikes and muscle loss. A 2015 study in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition compared high-protein, 30G, and high-carb, low-protein breakfasts. The high-protein group reported less hunger, more stable blood sugar, and lower calorie intake at lunch. The high-carb group experienced rapid insulin spikes followed by blood sugar crashes, increasing hunger and cortisol within 2 to 3 hours. These crashes elevate inflammation and reduce the body's efficiency at using protein for muscle repair. Chronic high-sugar breakfasts also disrupt the gut microbiome. A 2022 study in gut microbes found that diets high in added sugars reduce microbial diversity, impairing amino acid absorption and increasing systemic inflammation, both of which hinder muscle recovery. Over time, this metabolic roller coaster contributes to lean mass loss, particularly in adults over 40, when insulin sensitivity naturally declines. Practical tools. Building a muscle-friendly breakfast. Here are research-supported swaps to stabilize blood sugar and support muscle health. Upgrade your carbs. Replace instant oats or sugary cereals with steel-cut oats, quinoa, or whole-grain bread paired with protein and healthy fats. Example: steel-cut oats with 1 tablespoon almond butter, 2 tablespoons hemp seeds, and berries, total 20g protein, 10g fiber. Prioritize fiber-protein pairings. Combine high-fiber carbs with protein for sustained energy. Try avocado toast on whole grain bread with hemp seeds, a smoothie with spinach, silken tofu, flax seeds, and berries, or chia pudding with walnuts and cinnamon. These deliver 20-30g protein and 8-12g fiber. Reframe convenience. Prep a high-protein smoothie the night before, e.g., 1 cup spinach, half a cup tofu, 1 tablespoon chia seeds, frozen berries, to save time. This takes less effort than a drive-through and supports muscle recovery better than a pastry. Real-world example in a Stanford study, A pre-diabetic man in his mid-50s swapped his juice and granola breakfast for steel-cut oats with walnuts, chia seeds, and a scoop of plant protein. Within weeks, he reported stable energy, reduced hunger, and a DEXA scan showed preserved lean mass alongside fat loss. This single change shifted his metabolic signaling from store fat to build muscle. Take away a high-sugar, low-protein breakfast spikes insulin, crashes energy, and undermines muscle preservation. Swap for fiber and protein-rich options to stabilize blood sugar and support MPS. Ask, is my breakfast signaling my body to build or break down? Habit 5. Chronic morning stress and a reactive mindset. The problem. Stress as a muscle saboteur. Morning stress, whether from a blaring alarm, immediate screen time, or rushing into the day, sets a physiological tone that can erode muscle health. The cortisol awakening response, CAR, is a normal morning spike in cortisol that mobilizes energy, but chronic stress, amplified by habits like scrolling news or emails first thing, keeps cortisol elevated, promoting muscle breakdown, proteolysis, and inhibiting MPS. The science? Cortisol, sleep, and muscle. A 2010 study in psychoneuroendocrinology found that individuals with a blunted CAR, common in chronic stress or burnout, had lower fat-free mass over time, indicating muscle loss. Elevated cortisol increases proteolysis, breaking down muscle proteins for energy, and impairs anabolic signaling. Stress also disrupts sleep, which is critical for muscle repair. A 2018 study in sleep showed that poor sleep reduces growth hormone and testosterone pulses, increases inflammation, and impairs insulin sensitivity, all detrimental to muscle health. Morning habits like immediate screen time trigger a dopamine-cortisol loop, heightening perceived stress. A 2021 study in Frontiers in Psychology found that checking phones within 5 minutes of waking increased stress markers and reduced executive function, making it harder to stick to healthy habits. Practical tools. Setting a calmer tone. Here are 3 ways to buffer morning stress and support muscle health. Delay digital stimulation. Wait 5 to 10 minutes before checking your phone. Use this time to breathe deeply, stretch, or sip water. A 2020 study in Computers in Human Behavior showed that delaying screen time reduced morning cortisol by 15% and improved mood. Prime with intention. Spend 1 to 2 minutes on a reflective practice. Gratitude, affirmations, or reviewing priorities. This implementation intention, a when-then plan, increases behavioral follow-through by 30%, per a 2019 study in Psychological Science. Move with presence. Pair light movement, e.g., stretching, walking, with mindfulness, no headphones, just your breath and body. A 2022 study in mindfulness found that 5 minutes of mindful movement reduced cortisol and improved body awareness, supporting injury prevention and strength building. Real-world example in a Stanford mindfulness nutrition study, participants who started mornings with a 5-minute calming routine, breathwork, journaling, or distraction-free walking showed improved resilience, sleep quality, and lean mass retention during weight loss trials. These benefits stemmed from reduced cortisol and better behavioral consistency. Takeaway: morning stress amplifies cortisol, promoting muscle breakdown and impairing recovery. A brief moment of calm, whether through breathing, intention setting, or mindful movement, can shift your physiology toward muscle preservation. Ask, what's one small way I can bring clarity to my morning? Bringing it all together. A gentle challenge. Let's recap the 5 morning habits that erode muscle health and their solutions. Skipping protein at breakfast leaves muscles underfed. Solution: include 20-30 g protein, e.g., tofu scramble, lentil pancakes, to trigger MPS. Fasted morning workouts increase muscle breakdown. Solution: preload with 10-15 g protein or shift workouts to later in the day. Prolonged sedentary time blunts insulin sensitivity. Solution: add 5 to 10 minutes of neat walking, stretching every 30 minutes. High sugar, low protein breakfasts spike insulin and crash energy. Solution: swap for fiber and protein-rich meals, e.g., Steel-cut oats with nut butter. Chronic morning stress. Elevates cortisol, impairing MPS. Solution. Delay screens, set intentions, or move mindfully for 5 minutes. These habits aren't catastrophic in isolation, but their cumulative effect over weeks, months, and years shapes your muscle health, metabolic function, and independence. Muscle isn't just about strength, it's a metabolic organ that supports glucose control, mobility, and resilience. Small, consistent choices, like a protein-rich breakfast or a morning walk, compound to preserve lean mass and enhance vitality. Here's your gentle challenge. Pick one habit to experiment with tomorrow. Maybe it's sipping 16 ounces of water before coffee, adding a scoop of plant protein to your smoothie, or taking a 5-minute walk before emails. Not because you must, but because it might feel better, and consistency beats intensity every time. Why this matters: muscle health is about freedom. The ability to move, work, and live with strength and clarity as you age. By aligning your morning habits with your biology, you're not just building muscle, you're building a foundation for long-term well-being. If this evidence-based, practical approach resonates, consider integrating one small change and observing how your body responds. Your muscles, metabolism, and future self will thank you.